Hello everyone, welcome to Marcelliano MMA. Today we are going to be breaking down the early prelims for UFC 329 Holloway vs Mcgregor. I think this is going to be a great card. I think it's a great card for betting. The fights we are going to be focusing on today are Alessandro Costa vs Costa Durden, Ryan Gandra vs Reese, Damian Pina vs Cesar Almeida, and Tracy Cortez vs Cong. Farid Basharat was originally supposed to be fighting Ethan Ewing, but Ewing is out due to a shoulder injury, so John Garza has stepped into his place. I haven't done any breakdown for this fight, but I did see some posts. People are saying John Garza could win by KO. He's a plus 400 right now. I'm not doing any more time in this fight. For doing my first time ever for breaking down all these fights, it takes a lot more time than you would think. But hey, I think we should just get into it. And the fight we're gonna start that with is Alessandro Costa versus Cody Durden. Cody Durden, he was supposed to fight Audie Osborne at first, but Audie is out due to a undisclosed injury. So Alessandro Costa has stepped in on short notice, and I don't know. I find this a really interesting matchup because you have a textbook striker versus wrestler. Costa is going to want to keep this fight standing and look for a finish, while Durden is going to try and make it ugly. Constant pressure. And wrestling, that's the path he's just gonna try and go to. So starting with Costa, he's 16-5. He's riding on a 2-fight win streak, and he just knocked out Matt Schnell in June last month. He's got a Muay Thai and boxing background, and on the feet, he's clearly the better striker in my opinion. He's explosive. He throws fast combinations. He mixes and kicks well, and he just has the power that can end a fight at a moment's notice. The biggest question with Costa has always been his wrestling, in my opinion, at least. He's been taken down before, and sometimes he has to rely on scrambling instead of just stuffing a shot. Against someone like Durden, that's definitely something to watch. But one thing people forget is Costa also is a BJJ black belt. So even if Durden gets him down, I don't think he's just gonna hold him there for 3 rounds. I expect Costa to create scrambles, get back up, and make Durden work for every takedown. The one concern I am going to have with Costa is that he can get a little reckless. He likes to pressure forward, and sometimes he will overextend, which could give Durden chances to get inside. So now looking at Cody Durden, he's 18-10-1 and has only won 2 of his last 8 fights, which it includes a 4-fight losing streak, which just definitely isn't a good look. He's going to be a pressure wrestler through and through. His whole game is just built around chain wrestling, pushing guys against the cage, and making them defend takedown after takedown. His striking really is just there to set up his wrestling. He can land in close exchanges, I guess. But against a guy like Costa, you just don't want to stand and trade with those exchanges. So the problem I see is every time Durden shoots, he's going to have to enter Costa's range. And that's where Costa is at his most dangerous. If Durden can't close that distance early, he's going to be eating hard counters all night. So, and another thing I didn't think about is the pace Durden fights at. Because, of course, constant wrestling burns a ton of energy, especially if you're not holding your opponent down. If Costa keeps scrambling back to his feet, Durden could gas himself out trying to force the fight to the mat. So the biggest question is simple. Can Durden wrestle Costa for 15 minutes? Or does Costa make him pay every time he shoots? And I think Costa gets it done. I think Durden can have some success early with the wrestling, but I don't see him keeping Costa down consistently. Eventually, all those failed takedowns start adding up. Costa finds his rhythm on the feet and just lands the shot that changes the fight. I've got Alessandro Costa winning about 70% of the time, I want to say, and the most likely outcome, I would put it at a KO. So next fight we have here is Ryan Gandra vs Reese, and this is a really fun middleweight matchup between two dangerous finishers who both want to end the fight early. Gandra is an explosive pressure striker who's constantly looking for the finish, while Reese is a long, athletic fighter who uses his size and power to overwhelm opponents. I think this fight comes down to who lands first, because I don't expect this one to go very long. It's not going a distance. So yeah, looking at Ryan Gandra, he's 6'1" with a 74-inch reach and comes into this fight with a 9-1 record on an 8-fight win streak. He's also riding a 5-fight finishing streak with 4 knockouts and 1 submission. He made a massive statement in his UFC debut, stopping Jose Medina in just 41 seconds after already earning his contract with a first-round finish on Dana White's Contender Series. So on the feet, Gandra is aggressive from the opening bell. He likes to pressure forward, throw combination, and just overwhelm opponents before they have a chance to settle into the fight. He's got real power, but what stands out most is how quickly he puts everything together. Once he senses an opening, he'll jump all over it and look for the finish immediately. Wrestling wise, Gandra is well rounded enough to mix things up if he needs to, but that's rarely where he wants to fight. He's shown he can grapple when necessary, but his biggest weapon is still going to be his striking, and he's going to want to keep this fight standing where he can use that pressure and power. So yeah, one thing I do like about Gandra is that he doesn't waste time, as I kind of earlier said. He'll push at a high pace early, and if his opponents give him opportunities, he'll just capitalize off that immediately. The concern fighting this aggressively is that it can leave openings defensively, especially against somebody who has Reese's length and power. So yeah, on the note, looking at Reese now, he will have the size advantage, standing at 6'4" with a 77-inch reach. Reese is a dangerous finisher in his own right, and has shown throughout his career that he doesn't need much time to hit his opponents. He's explosive, athletic, and he also does carry a legitimate knockout power. The way he likes to fight, he does it behind his reach. He'll throw straight shots, knees, long combinations before opening up once he has his opponents backing up. When he's able to dictate range, he's a difficult fighter to deal with because of his length and athleticism. One concern I have with Reese is that he can become a little too aggressive when he's chasing finishes. He'll leave openings defensively, and against someone like Gandra who's constantly looking to counter with power, that's just a dangerous game to play. Another interesting part of this matchup is both men recently fought Jose Medina. Reese won a full three rounds with him, while Gandra stopped him in just 41 seconds. And of course, we all know MMA math isn't always reliable, but it does show just how dangerous Gandra has become recently and how quickly he can change a fight. The biggest question is whether Reese can use his size and reach to keep Gandra on the outside, or if Gandra can pressure his way inside and force the type of exchanges that he wants. If Gandra consistently gets into his boxing range, I think that's where this fight starts swinging heavily in his favor. So I think Gandra gets it done. I guarantee it's going to be a fast-paced fight with both guys having moments early, but I trust Gandra's pressure, timing, and finishing ability just a bit more. I think he closes the distance, lands first, and overwhelms Reese before Reese is able to establish his range. I have Ryan Gandra winning this fight about 65-ish. Do I want to say that? Do I want to go lower or higher? I'm going to go 65% of the time. 65. I don't know. I feel like just a guy against Reese, I could see both ending by KO. Maybe that would be a better bet. But yeah, I think 65% I will go for Gandra. And if he wins that, I don't see it going to the third round, first or second TKO. Should be decent odds. So now we're going to be going to Damian Pinas versus Cesar Almeida. This is another really interesting middleweight matchup between two dangerous strikers. I don't want to say they're opposites, but they approach fights very differently. Pina is an explosive fighter. He's a pressure fighter who looks to overwhelm opponents with pace, power, and constant offense, while Almeida is the more experienced kickboxer. I don't know if you guys know, Cesar Almeida beat Alex Pereira in kickboxing, so do with that what you will. He'll want to keep the fight technical, fight at range, and punish mistakes. I think the fight comes down to whether Almeida can keep Pina at kicking range, or if Pina is able to force the type of high pressure that he thrives in. Oh, about Pina, I've always found him similar to Atiba Gautier. Like, the style that they fight, very similar in my opinion. So yeah, looking at Damian Pina, he's 6'1" with a massive, almost 80-inch reach, and comes into this fight with a 9-1 record. He's only 24 years old and has quickly become one of the more exciting middleweight prospects because of how aggressively he fights. He's currently riding a long winning streak and has built a reputation for getting opponents out of there early, rather than letting things play out. So on the feet, Pina is all pressure. He likes walking opponents down, throwing combinations, and just forcing exchanges from the opening bell. Once he gets his opponents backing up, he starts putting everything together and looks for the finish. He doesn't give opponents much time to get comfortable, and that's one of his biggest strengths. Wrestling-wise, Pina is capable when the fight goes there, but like Gandra, his striking is clearly his biggest weapon. He isn't looking to wrestle for 15 minutes. He's looking to keep the fight standing, apply pressure, and just break opponents down with his offense. One thing I like is that he doesn't hesitate once he smells an opening. If he hurts you, he's one of those fighters who's going to swarm until either the referee steps in or you somehow, I don't know how, if you somehow survive, I guess you got that. The biggest concern with Pina I have with him personally is that his aggressive style naturally creates openings. And I know I'm saying this a lot about the card, aggressive style will create openings, but that's just how a lot of the fighters on the early prelims do fight on this. So like when you're constantly moving forward looking for finishes, you're also giving your opponent chances to counter. Against someone as experienced, especially in this case, as Almeida, that's something to keep an eye on. So now looking at Cesar Almeida, he's also 6'1", but he'll be giving up over 5 inches of reach in this matchup. Almeida is one of the better pure kickboxers in the division, and that is where he is at his best. He's extremely composed on the feet, he throws clean combinations, and uses his kicks really well to control the distance. And Almeida doesn't fight with the same urgency as Pina. Instead, he wants to stay patient, pick his shots, and slowly take over the striking exchanges. His experience in high-level kickboxing is obvious because he rarely waste strikes and usually stays defensively responsible. But yeah, one concern I do have with Almeida is how he'll deal with Pina's pressure. Technical kickboxers usually do their best work when they have space to operate. If Pina is constantly walking him down and forcing exchanges, Almeida may not get the clean striking battle he wants and I'd say needs even. Another thing worth mentioning is the age difference. Pina is entering his athletic prime, while Almeida is almost 40. He's 30 years old now. Experience definitely will favor Almeida in this case, but youth, pace, and explosiveness favor Pina. And over the course of a hard fight, that can make a difference. The biggest question in this fight is whether Almeida can keep Pina at... Oh my gosh, this dude's name is so weird. I think I'm gonna call him Pinas, bro. Whether like Almeida can keep Pinas at range long enough to pick him apart, or if Pinas can consistently close the distance and turn this the type of chaotic fight that he wants. So my prediction, I think Pinas gets it done. I expect Almeida to likely have success early using his kicks and straight shots, gambling those together. But I think Pina's pressure eventually starts to take that space away. Once Pina gets inside, I think he'll throw at a much higher volume, force Almeida into comfortable exchanges, and eventually find the finish. I have Damian Pina winning this fight around 70% of the time. Pretty confident in him. I think the most likely outcome is a second round TKO. I'm sure a lot of people will say first round, but I think Almeida just has that experience where he can survive the first round. He can do that. Goes to the second round, maybe he gets a little tired, maybe he gets a little sloppier. Pina closes that distance, he gets that knockout. It's not going the distance. So the last fight we have here is Cortez vs Cong. Another really interesting. I'm saying all these fights are interesting, but this is one of the best cards that I have ever seen, especially breaking down wise. It's gonna be a flyweight matchup, and it's a classic wrestler versus striker matchup. Probably one of the most clear ones on the card. Cortez is going to want to make this a grinding, wrestling heavy fight where she can control the pace, push Wang against the cage, and rack up control time. Wang, on the other hand, is going to want to keep this fight standing, use her speed and technical boxing, and make Cortez work every single time she shoots. I think this fight comes down to whether Cortez can consistently get her wrestling going, or if Wang can defend enough takedowns to keep the fight on the feet. Looking at Tracy Cortez, she's 5'5" with the 65.5 inch reach. And she comes in this fight at a 12-3 record. Yeah, 12-3. Throughout her UFC career, she's built her game around like pressure, cardio, and wrestling. She isn't someone who's constantly looking for finishes. Instead, she'll win by controlling where the fight takes place and making opponents work for all 15 minutes. On the feet, Cortez has definitely improved her boxing over the years. It is quite visible in tape, but striking still isn't where she does her best work. She mainly uses it to pressure forward and close the distance. She's tough and durable and willing to absorb shots, if that means getting into the clinch and starting her wrestling. But yeah, of course, wrestling-wise, this is where Cortez is at her best. She loves training takedowns together. She loves controlling opponents against the cage, and forcing them to repeatedly defend takedowns for the whole fight. Even if she doesn't complete every takedown, she's constantly making her opponents work. which can slow down their offense as the fight goes on. The concern I see with Cortez, and a lot of people have been talking about this with, is that Wink has very good takedown defense. It's just undeniable. She has great takedown defense in the UFC. If Cortez can't consistently get to this fight to the mat, she's going to be forced into long striking exchanges, and I just don't think that's where she's gonna want to be. Now looking at Wayne Kong, 5'6", 66-inch reach, and she's coming in the fight with a 9-1 record. She's one of the cleaner technical strikers in this division, and has done a good job adapting her style since joining the UFC. On the feet, I think Wink has a clear advantage. She throws fast, straight punches, manages distance well, and she stays composed throughout the whole fight. She's not someone who overcommits looking for a finish. Instead, she's happy to stay disciplined, land the cleaner shots, and win rounds. That's one of the things that impressed me, is how patient she's been in the UFC. Earlier in her career, she showed more explosive finishing ability, but that did come at the cost where she didn't have her patience. She didn't have the best IQ. But recently she's been much more willing to fight behind her technique, trust her defense, and let the fight come to her rather than forcing exchanges. Her last few UFC performances have shown that she's comfortable winning decisions, if that is what the fight calls for. The biggest question in this fight is whether Cortez can force her type of fight. If she can consistently control Wang against the cage and mix in takedowns, she'll make this a very close fight. But if Wang keeps standing for the majority of the 15 minutes, I think she'll clearly be the one landing the cleaner shots and more effective strikes. I think Wang gets it done. Wang, I don't know. I think Wang gets it done, whatever you want to call it. I expect Cortez, maybe she'll have some success with their pressure early, but I trust Wang's takedown defense enough to keep most of this fight standing. From there, I think Wang's speed, technical boxing, and ability to consistently land the cleaner shots will allow her to edge the rounds. I have Wang Kong winning this fight around 58 to 60% of this time. Most likely outcome is a decision. I could see Cortez winning. It depends on how well she can hold her to the ground. Cause the biggest thing I see, I'm kind of rambling off the script I wrote, but the thing is, normally I would always choose a grappler over a striker. That's just the type of batter I am. I like the grappling more, but Kong already has good takedown defense, and if she goes to the ground, I could see Kong getting up, and those combined, I'm leaning her. I said 50. I wrote down 58 to 60. Maybe I'd go to 65. I want to go to 70. But yeah, that's going to be wrapping it up for the early prelims. I'm going to be posting a video on the prelims and main event as well. Yeah, I'm going to be posting another video where I'll go over every fight, but in a much more simpler way. I like these videos where I'm breaking down the sections of the card just so I could get more into detail. I could say what I want about the fighter. I can rate what I want about the fighter. I can just get the outside. I hope you enjoyed. If you disagree or agree, please leave a comment below. If you'd like to see more videos by me, subscribe. This is my first time posting a video, so yeah, I enjoyed making it. I'm gonna be making some more. So yeah, I think that's gonna be it. Please subscribe, whatever those YouTubers do. But yeah, I hope you all have a great night, great morning, wherever you're watching this from. I hope you have a great day, and I'm gonna see y'all later. Hopefully, goodbye, guys.